Thanks for joining us on the news at this hour. I am Elizabeth Omori. Now let's take the headlines. President Muhammadu Buhari inaugurates Presidential Economic Advisory Council, PEC. National Assembly commences debate on the 2020 budget as presented. And European Union to invest 600 million euros in Nigeria's agriculture program, technical education and conflict management. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, the newly constituted Presidential Economic Advisory Council has been inaugurated with a mandate to coordinate and synthesize ideas and efforts towards giving more impetus to the nation's economic growth plans for sustainable future of the country. President Muhammadu Buhari, who performed the ceremony, particularly charged the members to develop a reliable data for homegrown solutions to the nation's socio-economic challenges. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has details.
Today, most of the statistics quoted about Nigeria are developed abroad and bear little relation to the facts on the ground.
Such statistics by the World Bank, IMF and other foreign bodies described as wild estimates President Buhari said cannot work for Nigeria. The president maintains that it is high time the country moved forward with homegrown solutions.
I therefore look forward to receiving your baseline study, as this will help us shape ideas for a sustainable and prosperous future. Rest assured that all key MDAs will be available to meet and discuss how we can collectively build a new Nigeria that caters for all. Now, no one person or a group of persons has a monopoly of knowledge or wisdom or patriotism. In the circumstances, you may feel free to co-opt, consult, and defer for any knowledgeable person if, in your opinion, such a move enriches your deliberations and adds to the quality of your decisions.
The president said, although Nigeria has exited recession, the reported growth rate is still not fast enough to create the needed jobs to meet national ambition of collective prosperity. While thanking members of the Economic Advisory Council for their patriotism and commitment to Nigeria, President Buhari reminds them of his administration's commitment to lifting 100 million people out of poverty in 10 years. The council, he said, is required to come out with far-reaching measures towards achieving the objectives as well as moving the country and the economy forward.
Many of the ideas we developed in the last 4 years were targeted at taking Nigeria back to the path of growth. I am sure, as you are aware, as a government, we prioritize agriculture as a critical sector to create jobs and bring prosperity to our rural communities. Our programs covered the entire agricultural value chain, from seed to fertilizer to grains and ultimately our dishes. You can clearly see the impact. However, the absence of reliable data is hindering our ability to upgrade these programs and assure their sustainability.
The federal government, he admits, is also struggling to measure the impact of its social investment programs.
Today, we hear international organizations claiming to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on IDPs in the Northeast. But when we visit the camps, you rarely see the impact. Last week, I directed the new Minister for Humanitarian Affairs to commence a comprehensive data gathering exercise in our IDP camps in the Northeast.
Actionable data, President Buhari said, is critical towards implementing effective strategies in addressing the nation's humanitarian issues and other pressing problems. Chairman of the Council, Professor Doyin Salami, assured President Buhari that their mandate is all about Nigeria and Nigerians not as numbers but as people. he pledged members' commitment towards ensuring that the economy grows in a manner that is rapid, inclusive, sustained, and sustainable so that Nigerians will feel the impact. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Still on the presidency, President Muhammadu Buhari Wednesday in Abuja declared that he is fully committed to the unity of Nigeria and will devote all his time and energy to promoting it for the benefit of Nigerians. Speaking during a visit to the State House by a delegation of Benue State Council of Traditional Rulers led by the third chief, Professor James Ayase, the president called for better appreciation of the historical relationship between the various communities in order to sustain the nation's unity. In a release signed by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu said the president stressed that ties between the chief and his own ethnic Fulani stock, which predated him, and the current generation helped in ensuring peaceful and harmonious coexistence among the people. He expressed optimism that such cordial bonds will continue to endure among various groups and serve as a strong unifying force in the country. President Muhammadu Buhari restated his appeal for better understanding of the nation's diverse cultures in order to engender a healthy coexistence among the people while fortifying and strengthening the unity of the country. The third chief, Professor James Ayase, had described the recent triumph of the president at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal as God-given victory and mandate to reconstruct, rebuild and unify the country and take it to the next level of socio-economic development. We are here to pledge our support and encouragement to your administration and its laudable programs, His Royal Majesty added. Now to the Senate. The Senate has observed that the 2020 appropriation bill has the potential of encouraging micro, small and medium-scale enterprises and massive infrastructure development. These are part of the contributions from the legislators as they commenced debate on the general principles of the appropriation bill just presented by the President. Senators commended the attention given to road infrastructure and human rights advocacy. They harped on the need for revenue collecting agencies to strengthen their revenue collection system. Meanwhile, the Senate has confirmed the appointment of Adeleke Adewolu as Executive Commissioner on the Governing Board of the Nigerian Communications Commission, with an advice from the Senate to put the use of technology into the prevention of crimes. Now let's talk about budget. Proposed federal spendings for 2020 has been commended by House members across board. This was when the bill came up for second reading during Wednesday's plenary at the House of Representatives. The Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, House Leader, and other lawmakers described the proposal as a reflection of the political will of the present administration to boost ongoing socio-economic development efforts with due consideration of current local and global realities. They reiterated expeditious passage after required legislative scrutiny. Debate on the 10.33 trillion naira 2020 appropriation bill continues Thursday. The House also adopted a motion moved by lawmakers from the Southeast calling for the speedy rehabilitation of Akunu Ibiam International Airport in Enugu, as well as Representative Blessing Onyeche's motion requesting an investigation into the abandoned Amadu Bello Road in Otukpo. Now to other matters. Participants at the 9th Nordic Africa Business Summit in Norway have described the economic recovery and growth plan of the federal government as a step in the right direction. State House correspondent Jide Onifade on the entourage of the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo reports that the participants, most of them investors, promised to make use of the opportunity provided by the government.
At both the plenary and the roundtable sessions, the stage was set for the Vice President to explain to the participants some of the things being done by the federal government to boost the economy of the country, answering questions ranging from the business environment, renewable energy, oil and gas, even to education, as well as finding space for the youth to display their potential. These are all areas where government is paying great attention, in addition to dealing with the issue of corruption.
So just by landing in Lagos, going through the migration, the queuing system has improved, the immigration visa system has improved, the payments for visas have improved, and you can get visas on arrival these days, etc. So that is exactly what we see as well in the wider context of doing business in Nigeria, where when you look at importing, exporting, money flows in and out of the country, that over the past years, 4 years especially, we have seen a dramatic improvement in the ease of doing business very positively.
Nigeria is a huge economy, it's an important country, so the more educated we can be in what are the issues and the opportunities, the better we can work together with the country to move forward.
Another opportunity again for Nigeria, the vice president to vice president, president to president. It makes it very easy that the two giants in Africa are now meeting at different levels and even at different continents.
He's articulated all the right issues to create an environment that is enabling for businesses to thrive. I think he has said the very right things, and he has done a very good job in projecting the image of Nigeria.
From the feedback that we've been getting, this has been a most useful forum, for Nigeria to interact with investors and business people from Norway and other Nordic countries.
Norway is a very rich country with large population of investors who are now interested in expanding their coasts, and Africa is on their radar, especially Nigeria.
The business environment is quite ripe. First of all, you know very well that we now have a bit of macroeconomic stability. Inflation has come down, the exchange rate has stabilized, and so all the concerns about the macro environment have been addressed from the investor perspective. In addition to that, of course, are the major investments that government has been making in infrastructure.
It is not only the space for the youth, but for investors from all around the world to come over to Nigeria and invest. From Oslo in Norway, Jide Onifade, NT News.
Let's now shift our attention to a part of agriculture, livestock. European Union is to invest 600 million euros in Nigeria's agriculture program, technical education and conflict management. States will also be supported in their livestock development program. This formed part of discussion between the European Union ambassador to Nigeria and Niger State Governor Abubakar Sani Bello in Abuja. Musa Babali reports.
Governor Abubakar Sani Bello of Niger State is at the European Union office in Abuja for discussion and to seek partnership with the Union in area of livestock development in his state. He is seeking technical support and idea on how to improve milk, beef and other dairy products as the state key into the National Livestock Development Program of the federal government.
We have come to an agreement with regards to what the issues are, and solicited for support from EU on how to support our headsmen and governments to see that we get everlasting peace in this regard.
Ambassador Ketel Carl leads European Union delegation of investors. He assured the governor that the Union is expanding its investment in Nigeria to include livestock development.
The European Union has followed very closely. We've been very supportive of the development of a national livestock transformation plan. And it's good to see how that is starting to transform into implementation on the ground. So we've been seeing on the Bobi grazing land in Niger State, how this can be done in practice. And we have very carefully taken notes. There are a number of European companies engaging in finding business models. The way forward of having more efficient milk production, having, grazing opportunities and livestock opportunities in Nigeria.
The federal government, with the support of state governors, introduced the National Livestock Transformation Program with a view to ending farmers-herders conflict, at the same time boost the country's milk production. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
And away from livestock production, President Muhammadu Buhari is reassuring Nigerians that everyone will be carried along in the last lap of his presidency, which he promised will be more functional and responsive to genuine national aspirations. This was while granting audience to some of the ministers he served with under military rule in the mid-80s. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
It was an emotional sight to behold and indeed refreshing as President Muhammadu Buhari went down memory lane, reminiscing shared experiences with the then ministers of his government as military head of state between 1984 and 1985.
It was a generation ago when we were responsible for the decision of running the country. You knew how we worked to get things done. We have seen a lot. We are seeing more.
President Buhari, who thanked the former ministers for being consistently in touch, used the opportunity to appreciate the military for its decision to not only relocate the nation's capital to Abuja, but also ensure its development.
It's good for the country because we could have used all the national resources to accommodate people in Lagos. It wouldn't have been enough.
Leader of delegation and former Minister of External Affairs, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, congratulated the president on his achievements in the areas of security, foreign affairs, anti-corruption, education, and many others.
On the issue of the fight against corruption, we want to congratulate you, sir, for your leadership, which is recognized not only in Nigeria, but in Africa and also international community. We also believe, however, that the war against corruption cannot be lost. There's no alternative to victory. We believe there has to be a synergy between the executive and the judiciary. It's a fight that has to be won at all levels.
The former ministers, he said, will never forget the opportunity given to them to serve the country then under his leadership, which was firm, responsive, and responsible, assuring him that they will all remain patriots. They also commended the president on the newly constituted Economic Advisory Council, saying, however, that the same be considered for security and foreign affairs.
Because we believe strongly that there's no monopoly of wisdom anywhere. And the more people are involved in supporting you, sir, identifying options out of which Your Excellency will decide, the better. And then they become also foot soldiers. Your success is the success of all Nigerians, but it's even a success for us because we are privileged to have been associated with your success in 1984 and 85.
A minute's silence was observed in the memory of those who have passed on amongst the former ministers. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
You're still watching the news on NTA International. Let's take a breather. We'll be right back.
Hey, you! And are you how they talk to? I sabi you now. It's in your mind, Abi. The person with them go help us. Baba Torosa, Shangalo, Ogalekuva, Mr. Sabi. And you know if we carry last for this one.
A spear into the top corner.
We sabi say Pikin will crawl before in waka. So don't look, no help anybody. No dolly, no. So go for her. Go for football. Go for Osorio on the Liga Marches live. Go for GoTV Max.
Glad to know you're still there. Now to other matters. The Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, Trade Union Congress, TUC, and the Joint National Public Service Negotiating Council have resolved to embark on industrial action after the 16th of October 2019 deadline given to government to reconvene the meeting of the Consequential Adjustment Committee on the new national minimum wage of 30,000 naira per month. In a media conference in Abuja, the Labour leaders were emphatic on their position on the stalled negotiations on consequential adjustment.
When the minimum was 18,000, you have what you have at the maximum. Then you have tilted the minimum to 30,000. Are you going to still leave the table there? It's distortion. Well, that's why you do consequential adjustment. And in their own language too, the committee set up, they said the committee to work out the consequential adjustment of salaries arising from the minimum wage of 30,000 naira. It's as simple as that. Anytime from 17, the leadership of Labour will give directive to members nationwide on what to do.
Labour Union also says partial implementation of the new minimum wage by government is not part of the negotiation and therefore not acceptable to its members. We now move to security. The federal government is adopting a bottom-to-top approach to reinvent and strengthen internal security strategies in the country. To achieve the goal, inputs from communities at the state level are vital, and to measure the level of their involvement as well as building capacity is the focus of a 3-day seminar ongoing at the National Institute for Security Studies in Abuja. Kelvin Elnwai reports.
Security experts say threats to internal security occasioned by herdsmen and farmers' clashes, kidnapping and banditry have in recent times challenged the capacity of security agencies in the country. While they are not sparing any effort at stemming the tide of insecurity, they cannot afford to lower their guards. That means constant review of strategies and capacity building is paramount.
This gathering is basically about evaluating the security apparatus in different states of the Federation and to sharpen the skills of security administrators at different levels.
It is all geared towards one purpose: keeping the country safe.
I will have the knowledge whereby if I go back home, I will make a strategy to ensure that we reduce this menace if we cannot eliminate it completely.
This kind of meeting actually will share the experience, will share about your experience so that other states will learn and they can they can take these steps.
For the government, security remains a cardinal point in the next level agenda. So, whatever it requires to get all stakeholders on the same page is key.
Let me take this advantage of this opportunity to commend the efforts of the federal and state security administrators for reactivating the idea of this very important training.
The participants are expected to brainstorm in the next 3 days at the seminar facilitated by the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and the National Institute for Security Studies. In Abuja, Kelvin Ewonwaye, NTA News.
Let's now talk service delivery. Of what importance and benefit in rendering best service delivery to customers is among the focus of the international celebration of 2019 Customer Service Week. The Nigeria's Servicom office in Abuja created awareness on this, engaged in a roadshow with a global theme, The Magic of Service. Oluseye Agdiagbo reports.
Although me, I don't know before, but actually now that I read the leaflets given to me, so I know what is going on. Now it's Servicom Week.
The intention of officials of Servicom Head Office and its members from some ministries, departments and agencies in Abuja is to use this roadshow to advocate for excellence in public service and improving customer satisfaction. The National Coordinator, Servicom Office, Nnenna Akajamali, also met with top management staff of the Nigerian Television Authority at its headquarters and Permanent Secretary, General Services at the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, where she received assurance of the continued support and readiness of an effective service delivery.
Servicom has been in persistent partnership with NTA. We've provided them the necessary wherewithal to do most of what they've been doing. We've made Nigerians aware of what Servicom is doing, and they will continue doing that.
It is our obligation to deliver quality service to all Nigerians.
When you give quality service, excellent service to a customer, it has magical effect. For instance, a dissatisfied customer that is served well, is given quality service, would now become an addict to that particular service, would become an advocate.
In Abuja, Oluseye Agdiagbo, NTA News.
And for trending stories across the globe, let's now join Ado Adamu also.
Hello and warm welcome to this segment of the news. Weeks of violence in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo have left at least 100 people dead and tens of thousands displaced. A local armed group called Mai Mai attacked the Nyamulenge ethnic community. The United Nations peacekeeping mission and Congolese forces have deployed more troops to the area. And at least 2 people have been killed in a shooting in the eastern German city of Halle. According to the police, 1 person was arrested, but other suspects were believed to have fled the area in a vehicle. Witnesses said 1 gunman was wearing military camouflage and carrying several weapons. A second shooting was later reported in Landsberg, some 15 kilometers east of the city. It was not clear if the incidents were connected. Shootings were also later fired near a synagogue, according to the German media. But details have not been confirmed if the violence came as Jews celebrated Yom Kippur, Judaism's holiest day. And finally, the White House has officially refused to cooperate with the impeachment inquiry against President Donald Trump. A letter sent to the Democratic leadership rejected it as baseless and constitutionally invalid. 3 Democratic-led House committees are investigating Mr. Trump. The inquiry is trying to find out if the president held back aid to Ukraine to push it to investigate Joe Biden, who is running for the Democratic presidential nomination. And that is it on this segment. Thank you for your time. I am Ado Adamwalso.
Next is a quick check at the weather prospect for Nigeria and other cities around the world. And that's the news at this hour on NT International. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Don't forget to join us at 9 p.m. for the network news. Good evening.